Let's just jump right into this explainer. You might look at your business right now and think, hey, we're doing pretty well, simply because, well, you're surviving. Revenue is trickling in, and your competitors are moving at the exact same pace you are. But we need to confront a really uncomfortable truth here. A lot of businesses aren't actually winning. They're just surviving inside this cozy little bubble of shared inefficiency.
Think about the foundation of your industry for a second. Your business might not actually be stable at all. Your market might just be mediocre. It's so easy to look around, see a rival surviving with the exact same flaws, and think, okay, our model works. But survival? That is definitely not proof of strength. If your peers are just as disorganized as you are, staying afloat really only means you just haven't drowned yet.
We do this all the time. We mistake a so-called stable market for what is actually just a mediocre stalemate. Because honestly, a market can look completely stable simply when everyone is equally unimpressive, right? When every single competitor is equally vague, equally slow, and equally inconsistent, that's not a healthy competitive market. That's just shared inefficiency. It creates this total illusion of balance where true excellence is just completely missing. So what happens inside that kind of environment? Well, customers are basically forced to just accept a barrage of tolerated flaws. Just imagine a typical service relationship. Clients are dealing with constant delays, super vague promises, weak service, and completely inconsistent quality. And eventually, they just learn to expect answers like, well, it depends, or, hey, that's just how the industry works. The customer absolutely doesn't love the experience. They merely tolerate it just because they don't have any other choice.
And that brings us to a pretty harsh reality. Tolerance is the oxygen that keeps weak businesses alive. Seriously, a company can comfortably coast along for years, never improving, solely because buyers don't have a clearly better alternative. The market just kind of shrugs and chooses whoever happens to be closest, cheapest, or the loudest, which allows these fundamentally broken operations to look like legitimate enterprises. But here is the absolutely crucial point. What happens when that illusion finally shatters? Most industries mask random chaotic activity as normal operations. But the very second one disciplined operator decides to stop relying on that chaos and instead actually delivers measurable value with clear, reliable delivery, boom. That stalemate breaks instantly. Suddenly, the market sees exactly what it's been missing.
Now, people often totally misunderstand how that top operator actually wins. They assume it's all about doing more, right? But the truth is this: efficiency is not working harder. It is removing what should not exist. It's not about running way more marketing campaigns, squeezing your staff harder, or buying some massive new software suite. It's actually about the brutal, uncompromising elimination of waste.
The strongest operators out there, they ruthlessly cut that waste straight out of their daily systems. We're talking about eliminating useless meetings, vague project scopes, a completely undefined version of done, and those endless frustrating rework loops. By removing all that friction, they become clear, fast, and literally incredibly easy to work with. They instantly start to look premium, without ever having to put on an act and try to sound premium.
Getting to that point requires a totally new standard. It requires an accountable operator who rises by delivering consistently. Instead of just guessing, they tighten up their offer, they measure their performance relentlessly, and, this is the big one, they completely remove the operational risk from the buyer's shoulders. They become the definitive alternative to all that shared mediocrity we were just talking about.
And suddenly you have this really stark contrast in the market. The weak operators out there saying, hey, trust us, we're experienced. But the accountable operator, they say, judge us. Under clear conditions, if value is missing, we accept the consequence. The best operators don't ask buyers to just magically ignore risk. They show buyers exactly who carries that risk, which provides a level of certainty that completely disrupts the old status quo.
And you know what? The market reacts exactly how you'd expect. The market sends the best buyers straight to the business that makes disappointment less likely. It's just human nature. When a credible operator makes delivery crystal clear and pushes risk significantly lower, the market shifts its absolute highest quality buyers away from those mediocre competitors and straight toward accountability.
So let's quickly define who those best buyers actually are, because they are definitely not the ones just hunting for the cheapest option. No, they're the buyers who pay on time, they stay longer, they expand their contracts, they refer others, and they consistently reward reliability. They want proof, not excuses. And having clients like that makes sustainable growth infinitely easier for the reliable operator. It creates this amazing self-reinforcing loop of success. Now compare that to what's left for everyone else. While the accountable operator is locking in that best fit buyer who actually values reliability, the mediocre competitors are left fighting over the price shoppers. You know the ones, urgent, high-friction buyers who already expect to be disappointed, and they negotiate super aggressively because they inherently just don't trust anybody. That shared mediocrity suddenly stops feeling so stable, doesn't it? It just turns into a race to the bottom.
To really lock this in, the ultimate mechanism that enforces this standard is absolute financial accountability. A negative price is literally the kill switch for hidden inefficiency. It takes all that hidden operational weakness and turns it into a highly visible, undeniable cost. It essentially backs a business into a corner where they have to either fix their broken systems or quite literally pay the price for ignoring them.
So let's define exactly how this actually operates. A negative price guarantee is a very public statement. It says, we will be judged on value, and if value is missing under clear conditions, we pay. Negative price makes inefficiency visible in cash, in reputation, in churn, and in lost trust. It's a highly practical force that acts like a magnet for serious buyers while totally exposing every competitor who is just surviving on excuses.
Which brings us to a reality you just can't avoid. Everyone is bad lasts only until someone becomes good. Relying on industry-wide mediocrity is mathematically doomed. Between AI, automation, and just plain better operators out there, baseline standards are actively rising across the board. And when those standards go up, randomness isn't just a minor inconvenience anymore. Randomness becomes unemployment.
For a brief piece of really tangible proof on this, just look at NegBook. It is the first book in the world with a negative price, meaning either you read it and it actually helps you, or it literally pays you. The big takeaway here is that a serious seller's value absolutely must survive judgment. You cannot rely on your competitors being vague to make yourself look good, especially when the standard for proof has fundamentally shifted.
So this is the practical choice every single operator has to make today. You can keep hiding behind industry norms, complaining about the economy, and calling chaos normal. Or you can choose accountability. You can build real systems, ruthlessly remove waste, and earn trust with undeniable proof. The thing is, the market doesn't even need to loudly punish weak businesses. It just quietly selects against them, completely starving them of the best clients.
I want to ask you directly, right now, would you still look strong if one operator in your market finally became excellent? Because your competitors being weak, that's not a strategy. That is only temporary cover. The goal here is to make sure your survival is based on real, rock-solid operational strength, not just shared mediocrity.
If you're listening to this and recognizing that your market relies on tolerated disappointment, it's definitely time to assess your own operation. The -1 Diagnostic is designed to help businesses identify precisely where their activity just isn't creating value. It shows you exactly what fundamentally needs to change before a controlled negative price guarantee can actually become a credible, highly profitable mechanism for your own business. You could actually apply for that diagnostic right now over at negbook.com/negative-price-standard. For operators who are actually ready to prepare for a much higher standard, this is exactly where you stop surviving on excuses. This is where you start building systems that can genuinely survive real judgment from the absolute best buyers in your market.
So, to wrap up this explainer, I'm going to leave you with one final ultimatum to really chew on. Do not compete inside mediocrity. Break the stalemate.